Before we start, I need to give a big shout out to Valykai for joining the gold tier. Big PP energy, big brain, winkery brain energy from you. Thank you so much for joining. If you want to join us when I get a shout out like this, link in the description. Thank you, Valykai, and let's move over to the episode.
Ruff, ruff, ruff.
Hey guys, it's your Bo the Doggo, and welcome back to Adastra, episode 10. We are reaching double digits, and hopefully we will stay that way. We won't go into 3 digits. So, last episode, Amicus got a big beating from Kato. It seems that Kato doesn't think that Amicus is taking this whole Emperor thing seriously, like Cassius is doing. For some reason, I think that Kato wants Amicus to be the next leader, but he will choose Cassius as it is now, because Cassius is acting more like an actual leader. So we will see how that goes. And when we got back from our little beach trip and the training session and Amicus beating, we met Virginia, Amicus' sister, Amicus and Cassius' sister, and she had with her Neferu. So he's here now and she is here, and I guess through this episode we will learn more about them and talk more to them. And also we cannot forget, we gave Amicus belly rubs and then we fell asleep on the same bed as him. And now we're gonna see what happens next. So with no further ado, let's go. Also, I should say that this episode might also get cut into 2 pieces, like the last one, with a little break in the middle, and you will see in the timeline here where the break is and all that. So yeah. Over the next week or so, I start to get used to my new life. I find that the days are easy to adjust to, and like Alex said, 19 hours in a day isn't that bad at all. Though the sleeping period is a bit shorter than I'm used to, it's been easier now that I'm sleeping in Amicus' bed. Bless the boy! We get to sleep in Amicus' bed. After I've fallen asleep next to him, we decided that there was enough room. The wolf set one of his many pillows down between us as a courtesy to me, even if it did sometimes end up rolling over on my end. He's been busy these past few days, and I think it's because what happened between him and Kato. He doesn't suggest any more outings, and instead wakes up early to go to meditation before leaving to the city to do various campaigning stuff. Amicus doesn't exactly explain what it involves, and he doesn't bring me along. I ask why, considering I thought that my main job was accompanying him to these things, but he just says that he's not doing the stuff that involves me quite yet. Instead, my introduction to the people of Adastra is going to be during the first trial. He says that the reveal will be more impressive that way, and that rumors are already spreading about this new pet. And that's another thing, my involvement in the trial. Apparently, I'm going to be his partner in the dance portion, something I have no clue of how to do. I've been getting more and more worried about it, telling Amicus that he actually needs to show me what I'm going to be doing, but he just brushes me off, telling me it's not a big deal. Apparently, the dancing is rather easy, and the main objective is just to show me off. Since everyone already knows what Alex is, I should be rather impressive to the officials that will be judging us. Amicus is confident that he will win that portion of the contest easy. Still, he promised me at least a few sessions of practice before the actual day of the competition. I've realized now that that's only 3 days away, and despite Amicus' constant reassurance, I can feel the stress building. I can only trust him that the dance is actually easy and simply an opportunity to show me off. Meanwhile, half of my days tend to be empty of things to do. I'm left on my own to either hang out around Amicus' room, have conversations with Koma about Adastra and his culture, or just to try to busy myself with menial work. Sometimes I hang out with Alex, which I enjoy, but lately I wonder if the idea that we're technically going to be competing against each other is causing a bit of rift between us. No, please. I hope you stay friends. Forever and ever. I'm gonna take Alex home when this is over. Still, I get a lot of time with him, since Cassius is out as much as Amicus, if not more. We go out into the garden a few times, and other times we watch Adastra and TV together. Sometimes even catching Amicus or Cassius giving speeches to the seemingly endless crowd of wolves. The broadcast seems to tally up numbers, and it's clear that Cassius always has an edge. Still, from what I gathered, Amicus has a bit of a surge and manages to do at least better than half Cassius' numbers. It's still a bit worrying though, but from what I can tell, popularity doesn't factor into the trials. When I'm not with Alex, I try to avoid running into any others, which is actually pretty easy. Kato is almost always absent from the palace, doing his own official business as an acting emperor. Virginia hasn't bothered talking to me after her first interaction, probably deeming me incapable of any sort of conversation. Neferu, on the other hand, is the one person I have most difficulty avoiding. Unlike the others, he greets me when he sees me and occasionally sticks out his paw so that I have to kiss it. The only difference now is that after I do it, he does the same to me. I think I gave him the false impression that it's some sort of normal greeting from my people. He seems to enjoy it quite a bit, but only tries it when Amicus isn't around. And as for Cassius, I don't see him for the entire week, until today. I'm in a dining room, watching the screens and zoning out. The Wolves are pretty talented at making basically all of their films incredibly boring. It's probably something to do with the long-winded monologues and theatrical acting. Alex is gone today, doing some type of ambassador work in the city, while Amicus is out with Kato, training. Though he's supposed to be back in the next hour to give me that dance practice that he promised. I'm nodding off, thinking about heading back to Amicus' room to take a quick nap when Cassius suddenly comes in. He stalks in with that particular stiff gait that he has, along with his usual sour expression. Even though it's been a while since I've seen him, I haven't forgotten that look of his. I jump and quickly sit up straight, looking at the ground. There's only a moment of silence before his reedy voice breaks it. "Pet, come with me!" And with that, he turns and stalks right back out of the room. I sit there, stunned for a moment. First of all, Amicus told Cassius to never give me commands. Does that mean that I shouldn't listen to him? I know immediately that that wouldn't be a very good idea, and I jump off my bed and hurry out into the hall. The important thing is that Amicus isn't here right now, and I know that Cassius is not someone that I want to piss off. I still remember how quickly he suggested to hit me as a punishment. I'm just in time to see his white tail disappear around the corner, and I jog after him, noting how confident he is that I will follow him without question. I don't even think he looked back once. I realize that we're heading out into the gardens, towards the same table and benches that Alex and I have been eating lunch at a few times. Oh, is there a meeting now? Virginia? Neferu? Hello? That's when I see Virginia and Neferu sitting down already, cups and plates already on the table. I realize then that this is what Cassius summoned me for, and I relax a bit. After serving breakfast so many times, I know exactly what's expected of me. When Virginia spots us, she waves at Cassius, but he only grumbles under his breath. "Ugh, why is he here?" I see the wolf's tail lash around in irritation before we settle as we get closer to the pair. "Good morning, Virginia." "And Neferu." Cassius' voice takes a dismissive tone as he says the jackal's name, barely even nodding his head at him. "Atope be with you, Cassius. How are you this day?" Cassius' tail lashes again, but only once. "Wonderful. Virginia, you didn't tell me that we were having a guest." Virginia raises a brow. "Oh, I'm sorry. Did you need a warning of some kind, Cassius?" Cassius sits, leaning back on the chair as he keeps his gaze on Virginia. "I simply like to be prepared." There's a moment of silence, and Neferu, still smiling, looks back and forth between the brother and sister. "Oh, I'm sorry. Am I causing you an inconvenience?" "No, Neferu. Cassius is simply being his usual gloomy self." Cassius' paws, which are clasped on the table, tightens their grips on each other. Virginia doesn't seem to notice though, and instead looks up at me. "And you brought Bo?" Cassius doesn't even look at me. "I'm borrowing him. My pet is doing diplomatic work in the city." Virginia rolls her eyes. "Really, Cassius? You can't even manage to serve yourself even once?" "I am to be the emperor. I need to act like one. And please, leave questioning me for another time. I don't want to be rude to our guest." Cassius smiles at Neferu, though it looks forced. Another moment of tense silence. I take it as an opportunity to do my work. Me... serve now? I almost snicker at my own caveman speech. "Yes, pet." I go about serving him, picking up slices of baked and seasoned bread off the platter before setting them on a smaller plate. I set this in front of Cassius. Then I poured some tea out of the heated pot into Cassius' cup before finally stepping back, hands clasped together. Luckily, Cassius and Virginia act like I'm not there, carrying on their conversation. Only Neferu seems to be constantly aware of my presence, occasionally glancing at me. I wonder if Neferu knows about me being a human, that he knows that I am a human, and he probably understands like, there is something going on here, but I'm not gonna interfere with it. I just want to see this play out, but I know that that's a human, and humans are pretty smart. Or something. Are you, enjoying your stay here, Neferu? Neferu snapped his gaze from me to Cassius. Oh yes, very much so. You have all been so hospitable to me. I thank you. Cassius waves his paw. It's the Wolven way, Neferu. No thanks needed. Another moment of silence stretches out before Virginia reaches out for a plate. Can I get you some banana, Neferu? But Neferu suddenly stands up. Actually, I should be on my way. I can tell that you intended to speak with your sister alone, Cassius. Good day. And good day to you, Bo. I jump, but quickly duck my head in response. Neferu then wanders off into the gardens, paws behind his back as he disappears behind the bushes and flowers. Cassius looks after him, his ears lowered, the inside slightly red. He's rather blunt, isn't he? Virginia doesn't respond, and Cassius looks over to see that she's glaring at him. What? He is our guest, Cassius, and start treating him like one. What? Cassius sighs and looks away, pouting. Virginia takes a sip of her tea before leaning back to her chair, letting the silence drag on a bit before finally speaking. What is it, Cassius? What is what? Why are you sulking more than the usual? Cassius sighs. I am very busy, Virginia, and I freed up this portion of my day to have a good conversation. I've barely spoken to you since you returned, and I wanted to ask you about your trip. Cassius takes a brisk sip from his cup. It's difficult to speak intimately when others are around, especially those of different species. Cassius, if you wanted to speak alone, then you should have only asked. I was simply worried that Neferu would be growing bored in the palace, so I invited him along. Virginia grins. And you don't have to play emperor around me. I'm your sister. Lean back and relax a little bit. Cassius sighs again, but doesn't lean back. I must play the role I intend to fit, even if the situation doesn't call for it. And you think father was always like that? I don't know. He didn't speak to me much. Well, he wasn't. So you can relax around me, Cassius. Cassius sighs and eats one of his crackers, leaning back into his chair very slightly. So, how was Lux? Oh, you know, riots and crime and complaints about lack of funding? Well, there is a lack of funding. There is a lack of funds, certainly, but not from us. You know that the officials there are corrupt and takes most of it. That isn't the people's fault. No, but they should have chosen the politicians more carefully. They're electing officials based on how outrageous they can be. And how does that result in a sound government? The people are frustrated that the sentiment is spreading throughout the empire. I've been telling you this for years. Certainly, we all know this. The question is how to fix it. By getting rid of the triumvirates the people elect. If we rule directly, the empire would be as sound as the palace we govern from. And you expect to do that easily? I expect it to be very, very difficult, and it's something I intend to do very, very carefully. The people need directions, and electing chaotic triumvirates is their cry for help. Virginia doesn't say anything, instead taking a very dainty sip of tea from her cup. Cassius clears his throat and sits straight up. Anyway, why did you exactly decide to bring this Kemian back with you? You never explained it clearly in your letters. But I did. His accommodation and Lux were rather poor. Bringing him here and acquainting him with the imperial family seemed like the natural decision to me. You know he's the pharaoh's second son? Pharaohs, they're definitely, there we have it. If his father is a pharaoh, then they are the one who uplifted the humans, and that's why the war. That's why the wolves and the Kemians got into war, because the wolves started to uplift people that the Kemians already had uplifted, and therefore they clashed together. I figured it out. Mwah!
Well, yes, but why was he in Lux and why didn't I know about it?
Virginia shrugs. You can't expect to know about every diplomatic visit there is, Cassius. Anyways, he was touring the siblings and was in Lux when the depletion happened.
My question is, why wouldn't the Pharaoh send his ship immediately to retrieve his own son? Alex makes sense, being your typical diplomat, but the son of a Pharaoh?
He chose to stay. Cassius snorts.
And why would he do that?
Virginia stares at Cassius for a moment, a frown on her face. Cassius, you know the reason as well as I do. Despite the absolute chaotic, bankrupt, parentless mess our empire is in, the Chemians are willing to ally with us. He's trying to help establish that.
They're taking advantage of us when we are at our weakest, Virginia. You know how I feel about this, and I have no plans for an alliance.
I'm planning for all scenarios, Cassius, and as for now, you aren't guaranteed the emperorship. Cassius doesn't say anything, staring at the empty plate. Slowly I walk up to the table and refill the plate. Neither of the wolves look at me. We should be grateful the Chemians even want to speak to us. None of the other siblings wants to be associated with a race that seems to have been abandoned.
We don't know that yet.
Well, they aren't speaking to us, are they? And they left us all starbound. If this is permanent, we may never be able to travel beyond the star system again. That catches my attention. Didn't Amicus tell me that if he became emperor, he would be able to take me back? And they're acting like they won't have a stretch drive forever? Cassius laughs.
Once they have a new emperor, they will give us guidance again. I mean, they stopped immediately after father's death. What other explanation could there be?
They didn't after grandfather's death. Cassius waves his paw in the air.
Because father was in line for the throne without any challenge. The emperorship has not been in limbo like this in living memory. They are simply waiting for the empire to firm leadership again before re-establishing contact.
Cassius snatches a cracker off the plate that I just refilled.
It has happened before, even if it was before Drusus. But even if we're not able to, I have no doubt that I will still be able to lead this empire to prosperity.
And how would you do that without the stretch? We will not be able to communicate with our children anymore.
If the Chemians learn the stretch, then so can we. As for the children, just abandon them. They've only been burdened anyway.
Cassius glances at me and I quickly look down at the ground. Virginia sighs loudly. Sometimes the things you say frighten me, Cassius.
Well, you know it would be less so if you were on my side, Virginia.
I'm on no one's side, Cassius. It's my duty to serve the Emperor, no matter who that might be.
You're on Amicus' side. It's clear as Vita.
Preference does not matter in the end. I don't like Cato, and yet I serve him. Cassius' ears flatten and he looks around.
Lower your voice when you say such a thing, Virginia. And are you saying that you dislike me like you do Cato?
Well, of course not. But like I said, your ideas are extreme.
Radical ideas are needed in times like this. It's how we've gotten so far with the people.
Well, just remember that you and Amicus are both my brothers, and I love you equally. Just be civil when the decision is made.
Cassius!
We all jump as Amicus' voice seems to rattle the ivy of the pillar. Cassius settles back in his seat, rolling his eyes.
What, Amicus?
What the hell are you doing with my pet? Com says that you have him.
He wanted to serve me, so how could I deny him?
Don't lie to me, Cassius. I told you to never talk to him.
Are you going to yell at me or tell me where you are so I can send him back?
Where are you? I'm going out there.
Cassius does look a little worried then.
Come, where is Amicus?
In the main hall, Cassius.
I'm coming out.
Pet, go back inside and do not tell him where we are.
Cassius shoos me away while Virginia just chuckles behind a paw. I make my way back inside, though Amicus meets me right at the entrance. He glares.
What the hell does he think he's doing? What did he make you do?
Amicus sets a paw on my shoulder, looking me over. Not much really. I just served him while he was talking to Virginia.
Unbelievable.
Amicus makes efforts to walk out into the gardens. Where are you going?
Going to give Cass a piece of my mind. I specifically told him not to.
I set a hand on his arm, stopping him. Hey, it's fine.
Is it? Because last I remember, he threatened to hit you.
He didn't touch me at all. He ignored me the whole time. Amicus looks out into the garden, still clearly wanting to go out there. Listen, I just want to get this dance practice done. I've been worried about it all week. Amicus pauses and then sighs, turning back to walk into the palace.
Fine, but when I let Cassius get away with things like this, he tends to push it even further next time.
We walk in silence for a bit, our footsteps echoing like they always do in the marble halls. Are you alright?
I'm fine. Why?
Well, you seem a little grumpy.
It was just a long day at the city. Unlike Cassius, speeches don't come naturally to me. Something I just need to get used to.
I walk alongside a wolf, feeling his furry arm brush up against mine. So, when do I get to go to the city? The wolf tilts his muzzle down at me in surprise.
Oh, you want to go?
Well, yeah, didn't you say that I could? It's kind of getting boring here.
Well, I did say once the first trial is done. You'll be introduced to the public by then, so everyone will know who you are when we go.
Can I plan on that then?
Of course! I'm just surprised that you want to see the city so badly.
Well, looking at it from the balcony all the time has me curious.
Well, visually it's not that impressive. There are cities out there with larger structures and attractions. Adastra is mostly a city for imperial officers and their families. Still, we could find some entertainment, I'm sure.
As long as it isn't like the films I've seen on your TV.
Well, it would be live entertainment, but it would be somewhat similar. Actually, if you don't like that, then you may not like the dance I'm about to show you.
I realized then that we're walking in a new direction in the palace, down a hall I haven't been through since Alex gave me the palace tour. Where are we going?
The throne room. It should be empty right now, so it's where we will be performing.
Amicus presses his paw to the black panel and the slide open. Inside, I'm greeted by the largest room in the palace I've seen yet. Craning my neck to see the ceiling arc dozens of meters above us. Afternoon lights filter through the windows, lighting up the palace in a warm orange glow. Wow!
You like it?
Yeah! I look at the throne, formed by pillars and crystals that seems to be levitating. The crystals look similar to other light sources in the palace that are used mainly for a light source. It's just that these ones are a lot bigger. Amicus walks into the corner of the room, our footsteps sounding more and more cavernous in here.
We actually don't use it very often. It's more for tradition.
So you won't sit on the throne all day yelling at people?
Sadly, no. I can only remember a handful of times that my father sat in it.
I look around a bit, spinning in a slow circle. When I see Amicus again, he's quiet. His arms are folded as he stares at the throne. The look on his face tells me that he's deep in thought. I clear my throat. So did you want to show me the dance?
Oh, right!
Amicus walks towards me until he stands just a few feet away. He sighs and then frowns, his ears down. What? I wait, but he doesn't say anything. Did he forget the dance or something? What? I say it a little more loudly, feeling nervous.
Well...
Seriously, you're stressing me out.
Alright, listen. The role you will be playing might seem a bit strange to you.
Role? What do you mean by that? Amicus takes a deep breath, as if only now realizing what our practice session is going to involve.
The dance we will be doing is titled Mira, and it will involve things that you might find objectionable.
Objectionable?
Basically, we will be playing the roles of Drusus and Mira, an emperor and his lover.
Wait, so this is like a play or a musical? I'm playing a character?
Well, of course, it's a dance.
Well, I guess, but you never told me that I'd also be acting.
Isn't acting a part of dancing? What's the point of dance if you're not telling a story?
I cover my face with my hands, rubbing it in frustration. Oh. Listen, quit saying these things to me like I should just know it. We're from different worlds. Of course things aren't the same on Earth.
Oh, yes, you're right. I'm sorry. You're so much like a wolf that I sometimes forget.
It's fine, but what is that you think I'd find objectionable? I remember the description of the dance included the word lover. Wait, What sort of things am I going to have to do with you? The look on Amiko's face worries me. I feel myself getting angry, realizing now why Amicus had put this off for so long. I glare at him. Nothing too explicit, but there is caressing and a kiss at the end. I would love to play this play with you, Amicus. Oh my god. I let my head drop, closing my eyes. I'm sorry, I don't make out the dances or the rules. It's simply tradition. I let the silence drag out, letting Amicus squirm. But weirdly enough, I'm not as angry as I thought I'd be. Knowing Amicus for the last 2 weeks I've been here, I guess I kind of just expected it from him. Still, he's been nothing but respectful to me over the past few weeks, and if it means that I can go home... Is that it? You caress me a little and... kiss me at the end? For the most part, yes. And you're playing the role of a female, so you must dress a certain way. Are you kidding me? I feel my face flush red, something that Amicus had told me is kind of unnerving to see for someone covered in fur. Go get a female dancer or something. A professional would do it way better than me. That's not part of the trial. Me teaching you is part of it. And it's simply the role of the pet to do so. You should have told me this last week, Amicus. Amicus doesn't seem to have an answer for that, besides a mumbled sorry. We stand there in awkward silence for a little while longer before Amicus squares his shoulders. Listen, I will not force you to do anything you don't want to. That I promise. But doing this dance convincingly is needed for us to win. I sigh loudly. Who's even judging this? Kato and triumvirates from 5 other major cities. Triumvirates? Groups of 3 that governs the cities. So why do you even have to know music and dance to become an emperor anyway? Well, the more well-rounded wolf, the better he is for the emperorship. An emperor that can fight just as well as he can dance shows a good character. Alright, fine. Just show me the dance. Amicus lets out one of his relieved sighs that he seems to have reserved just for me. Thank you. Again, I'm sorry. I was just so busy with official businesses and everything else. I didn't know how to approach you about this. Well, next time just tell me. I'm honestly more annoyed that you waited so long. Isn't the trial in a few days? 3 days. Great. But it's a simple dance. You'll be able to learn it for a few hours, and then we can practice tomorrow too. Alright. I look around. So, do we have music or something? No. We don't need music, do we? Oh no. I mean, I guess not. On Earth, we usually dance to music, without having to tell a story. Oh, really? So you just dance for no reason? I think there are both. I mean, we can dance just to dance. But I think, like, the bigger dance numbers, there are usually a story that are telling a story through the dancing. But there are also dances that are just dancing to the music. You know, like back dancer and stuff. When someone is singing, there's just a dancer behind. But there are also dances that are telling a story. So why do you need music? I think it's such a basic thing, but I've never had to try to explain it to anyone before. So I find myself trying to figure out the right way to go about it. Well, we need a beat or a rhythm to dance to. I mean, not always, but usually we move to an even-spaced beat. Amicus absorbs that for a second, and then chuckles. What? It's such a primate thing to do, to bang sticks and rocks together. You love your rhythms. It just sounds so, interesting. I frown, immediately picking up on the condescension. You mean primitive? No, just different. I sigh, letting it go for now. Yeah, I didn't take it that he meant primitive either. I thought that he meant like primates. Like Alex is a feline and they are canines and we are primates. That they mean that it's a primate thing to make rhythms and stuff, because that's not something like felines and canines does. So that doesn't mean that I have to be primitive. At least he's trying, I guess. Anyways, we're going to have an orator narrate the story for us. It's a combination of speaking and singing.
I'll do that for now, though... Well, not the singing. I'll just speak.
I stand there waiting, and Amicus coughs awkwardly.
Anyway...
Amicus reaches out the paw, and I take it after a short pause. Slowly, he draws me closer to himself, to the point that I can smell the lavender and the floral mouthwash in his breath.
I'm going to lead you through the movements first while narrating. Then we'll start from the beginning again, alright?
I nod in agreement, and with that, Amicus starts narrating the story.
10,000 years ago, our empire was small, shriveled and parentless. We abandoned them, and were left to drift through the galaxy alone.
Amicus turns me away from him to face the throne, his paws on my shoulder.
Then Dorossus, our dear emperor, came along and made a proposition.
Amicus steps forward lightly, on his toes, gesturing broadly with his paw.
Let us reconnect with our parent, and throughout them, the rest of the universe. But it was not so easy. The siblings, long tired of the Wolven hubris, were reluctant to know them again.
I stand there awkwardly, watching Amicus move around me in a sort of interpretive dance, mostly involving prancing and big gestures with his paws.
That was when he met Mira, a Hindo sibling.
Amicus turns to me then, stretching out the paw again, this time flat, like he's telling me to stop.
Alright, so just reach out the same way and press your paw to mine.
I do as he asks, watching as his massive paw almost seems to envelop mine. He slowly pushes my hand upwards, drawing me closer as he does.
And before they could help it, they'd fallen in love.
The story goes on for a while, Amicus teaching me the steps and hand movements as it does. The process is slow and tedious, but Amicus is patient with me and tells me that it's not the choreography that is necessarily important, but rather the feeling and passion we put into the movements. The story describes Mira and Dusurus' relationship, evolving from one of official diplomatic business to true love. But it doesn't last long, because Mira becomes sick from an unspecified illness and is about to die.
I was thinking like, this sounds kind of like the story of me and Amicus here, so I wonder if this is some kind of foreshadowing of what's going to happen in this story. Like it's going to mirror this what happened here. And then this line comes up and like, oh no, am I going to get sick and die? No, please don't.
The parents offer Dusurus two options: save Mira or save his empire and promise his people prosperity for the next 10,000 years.
Wasn't that the time that had been since Dusurus this happened?
Does that mean that these 10,000 years has gone by now?
And that's why the parents have left them?
Dusurus wants to choose Mira, even if it means damaging his empire for millennia. At this point in the story, Amicus draws me into his chest, my back pressed to his front as he holds me close, his voice rumbling in his chest. Then the story takes a sudden turn. Mira denied Dusurus his own decision, instead taking her own life so that his empire might survive. Here I am supposed to put the back of my hand to my head, like I'm an old-timey woman in a corset passing out. Amicus carefully lowers me to the ground, laying me flat on my back.
Dusurus was forced into his one remaining choice, which was no longer a choice.
Amicus stands slowly, raising a paw to the sky, pointing.
To the stars, he said. We are now Adastra.
Amicus holds a pose for a moment, and then looks down at me. Is that it?
Yes.
I sit up, and Amicus reaches down to help me up on my feet.
Wasn't so bad, was it?
Well, no, not really. As long as it doesn't matter if I do all the steps right.
No, you just need to have a general idea of it. Remember, it's the feeling you need to get right. The tragedy of it all.
So, is that a true story? Seems like a weird choice to give someone. And he made a really stupid decision. He basically killed Mira.
Amicus shrugs. It's mostly just a dramatic story. But Dusurus was a real person, and so was Mira. She did take her own life, but we don't really know why, or the extent of their relationship.
And what about the kiss? You said that the dance would involve that.
This is because the main character here has been like, okay,
what about kiss? When is the kiss? I was promised a kiss.
Or maybe it's just me. I thought we should just leave that for the actual performance. I assume that you don't want me kissing you over and over.
Yeah, it's probably for the best. Oh, is that going to be like the first kiss and they actually fall in love and that will be the first kiss and they will be like very emotional and a moment and I will like cry and stuff? Oh, yeah, let's go. Fuck.
Anyways, let's do it a few more times and get you into the feel of it before we focus on the acting portion tomorrow.
And for the next few hours, we go through the steps over and over. And by the end, we're both getting kinda sweaty, being so close to each other while Vita shines in on us.
Alright, why don't you take a break?
Sure.
So, would you like to go to the communal bath?
Where everyone baths together? For the first time, I can really smell the musk coming off of Amicus. It's not bad, but mixed with the lavender smell, it's a bit strange. Bet it smells like a dog.
Well, more to have a hot soak to ease the tension of the muscles. And don't worry, you can keep your underwear on if you prefer.
Oh, okay.
Great!
Amicus leads the way out of the throne room and back into the marble halls. The cooler air hits my sweaty skin and I realize that I probably don't smell so great either. The perfume that the wolves use isn't all that strong. I adjust my robe, not liking the way the fabric sticks under my skin. Actually, all this dancing had me wishing that I had my jeans back. The dancing positions had me feeling like I was hitching up and exposing my underwear. Can I wear pants when we do the dance?
Pants? Why?
I don't know. I guess it's just easier to move around in them.
Well, you'll be wearing a Hindu costume, which is also rather billowy. Sorry.
Billowy? Why do you wear pants anyway? No one else does.
Well, they've been coming into fashion over the last years. I thought wearing a pair wouldn't lure people to me.
You want them to think that you're hip?
Well, I want them to believe that I'm forward-thinking. Everyone else in the palace has an aura of traditionalism, which is not something I'm aiming for.
Amicus adjusts his pants near the crotch.
I've grown to prefer them over the robe, but in situations that involves a lot of sweating, it can grow a bit uncomfortable under the leather.
Amicus stops by the door that I never noticed before, much smaller than the entrance to the throne room. He presses his paw to another black panel, and the door slides open. And yeah, we take a little break here. Timer here for when this little break is over. This is mostly for you to have a chance to pause before we get back. So yeah, I will take a little break and get back to recording in a bit. And I'm back from my little leg stretcher. Let's continue. I follow the wolf inside, my skin immediately growing sticky and hot, making me wish that I was in a swimming pool instead of what I assumed to be a giant hot tub. The wolf starts to strip off his clothes.
I've been needing this all day. And also, excuse my nudity, but the water isn't kind of clothing. Otherwise, I'd keep the underwear on.
Well, it's not like we haven't seen it before, so I shrug. Just what I said. I even did the shrug and said it. It's not like I haven't seen it before.
Right.
The wolf lays his clothes down on one of the benches, his nude sweaty form obscured slightly by the steam. He stretches and arcs his back, his thick body thinning out a bit as he does. His dick also sticks out quite a bit, and even though I might have seen it before, the shameless display is a bit much and I have to look away while I slowly strip off my own robe.
You joining me, yes?
Yeah.
Good, I think you're really enjoying this. It's very hot, but you'll get used to it.
Amicus walks over to the edge of the pool.
There are two methods, either get in slowly or all at once.
And there we see what he did. And with that, the wolf jumps into the pool, practically cannonballing it to the center and sending up a huge wave that washes over the sides. The water that creeps up on my feet is hot enough to make me flinch. Amicus comes back up, his fur plastered to his face, and he gasps and lets out a strange yell that makes it sound like he's in pain.
Ow!
Are you alright? I walk up to the edge, feel the hot water under my feet.
Fine. Just getting used to it. Now I am.
I stand there in my underwear, frowning down at the water.
Come on! It feels good!
That didn't look like it felt good.
Quit being such a flower and get in. It's only the first few seconds that are painful.
Flower, the main insult used by the wolves when attacking someone's masculinity. Well, I guess you do have a really low pain tolerance, so... I start to dip a toe in.
Hey!
Amicus glares up at me, then grins, and I know that look well by now. Hey, don't! The wolf glides up to the edge of the pool with only half his muscles sticking up from the water, like an ominous furry shark fin. I start to move back, but that's when Amicus suddenly raises up from the water, stepping onto an underwater bench along with the edge of the pool that I hadn't seen. He wraps his arm around me. His hot, fur-plastered body squeezes against me for a moment, then squeezing even harder as he physically lifts me off the ground and falls back into the pool. I only have a moment to try to fight the wolf off, uselessly pushing at his bulk before I'm plunged into the steaming hot water. For a moment I'm wondering if I'm going to boil alive, but as soon as Amicus lets go of me and my head breaks through the surface, I can already feel the sting wearing off into a pleasant warmth. I cough a few times, making a face at the salty tasting water, spitting it out.
See? Not so bad if you do it all at once.
I spit out more water.
Ah, bad taste? Don't worry, it's just the minerals in the water.
I shove a wave of water into Amicus' face, sending it right into his open mouth. He coughs and spits, choking on the water I just forcibly slammed down his throat. So rude.
You ass!
The wolf passes water out of his eyes, looking ready to try to splash me as well. He sees me also at the ready though, hands up to my chest and ready to send another wave into his face.
Well, that's enough roughhousing, I guess. Stuff like that is best left for Lake.
Hey, you started it! Amicus ignores me, instead moving to sit on the underwater bench. I do the same, sitting a foot away from the wolf, enveloping my face in the steam as it rises off the water.
Doesn't this feel good?
Now that I'm actually paying attention to the sensation in the water, I have to agree. The heat seems to seep through my skin and into the muscles, sending a pleasant shiver into my spine, even though I'm completely warm. Yeah.
I need to do this more often. All of this official business nonsense is starting to weigh on my mental capacities.
Is it really just nonsense?
For the most part, it really is. Sometimes I completely understand what it is Cassius dislikes about the current way of things.
What way of things?
Oh, just the way politics works. Never saying what we're actually thinking and just using coded language. It slows things down, but I know that's the reason for it. Keeps things civil and peaceful. Mostly.
And Cassius would do away with that?
He would do away with many things. Current political protocol being one of them. It's one of the main reasons he's so popular.
Well, you seem to agree with it. Getting things done without that official business nonsense in the way could be a good thing. Amicus sinks lower into the water until it's up to his nose.
Remember the story I just told about Drossos and Mira?
Yeah?
Well, whether that story is true or not, he was the one who started the way we do things to this day. Before him, well, we had a string of populist emperors, and the results were not great from what I read. Honestly, I completely understand what it is that makes Cassius appealing to the people, and it's something that I sometimes want to do myself. The only thing holding me back is history. Time and time again, whenever a leader like Cassius has come around, it only results in a weak, isolated empire.
Well, from the little I've heard, isn't that how it is now?
Well, yes, but that's because we never fully transitioned to an outward-looking and outreaching empire. Drossos started it, but it's taking us 10,000 years to get here. It was so much worse back then, and that's what Cassius wants to go back to. I intend to take some of the final steps so that we may join the other siblings on the journey to parenthood.
Oh, so is that the goal for everyone? To become parents?
Yes, and to continue the spread of our culture beyond the galaxy.
So what makes you a parent?
When we can travel to other galaxies in a practical manner.
Oh, so why not use stretch drive for that?
It's not possible to harness enough power to use a stretch drive for such distances. The parents have a different method, but they haven't told us how, obviously.
So are you close to doing it?
To intergalactic travel? No.
Is anyone?
Well, there are rumors that the Chemians are on verge to it, and it wouldn't surprise me. It's assumed that they already know how to use their own stretch drive.
This talk about stretch drive reminds me of something. So, when I was serving Cassius, Amicus growled softly in his throat as I remind him. Well, they were talking about stuff, about stretch depletion or whatever.
Oh?
Yeah, so apparently no one knows why your parents stopped talking to you guys. And Virginia said that you might never leave the star system again.
Oh?
I frown at him.
Well, that was rather presumptuous of her.
Is it true?
Well, no. I mean, sure, it doesn't happen often, but they stopped immediately after father's death. There is no other explanation than that our parents knew that there would be issue with the emperorship.
What if it's like either his father talked to the parents, or maybe even further back to when Darurus or whatever his name was, and they talked to the parents and decided that if the parents shouldn't help them with stretch drive and tech if the emperor isn't like wanting to become better to make Adastra a better place, but if they want to go back, the parents should not help them because they will only create war and stuff. And I mean, they will only make things worse for Galaxy. But if like someone like Amicus or Amicus' dad who wants to make things better to achieve parenthood, then the parents will help. Maybe? And I mean, that's why they stopped when the father died. The parents wouldn't know who would be the next emperor, like they're saying, and that's why they stopped and won't give any support. And if Cassius wins, they won't continue supporting them, and if Amicus wins, they will start to support them again. Maybe. The stretch and contact with our parents will be re-established once I become the emperor. I promise you that, Bo. Amicus says it with his usual confidence, but that doesn't settle the anxiety in my stomach. I sigh in frustration, closing my eyes. Why is everything so complicated with you?
What do you mean?
If you just tell me the actual truth about everything that's going on, it wouldn't feel like I'm being hit over the head with something new every other day.
Bo, stop worrying. I know things seem unsure, but it's only because of the precarious position the Empire is in right now. Once I become the Emperor, things will settle and we'll figure out how to get you home.
Amicus rests a paw on my shoulder, and I turn to look at him, my expression probably still gloomy.
I will get you home, Bo. That I promise. And even if the stretch isn't immediately restored, even if it means making some sort of deal with another sibling, like the Chemians.
Amicus frowns at his last statement. Still, that doesn't set me at ease, and I place a hand on his paw. Thanks, Amicus. Amicus' very serious mood dissipates, and his ears comes up as he smiles.
So, are you feeling relaxed again? That's why we're here, you know.
I smile. Yeah, I guess so.
Good!
We fall into a bit of silence again, and I lean my head back against the ledge of the pool, letting the warmth take over my body. It makes me feel heavy and tired, but good. Hey, I just noticed that the facecam stopped recording. I don't know for how long, but yeah, I will... My head slips off the ledge a few times as I dozen off a bit, each time waking up before my head can go into the water. Amicus notices the third time it happens.
Sleepy?
A little.
Just lean against me so you don't have to make the bottom of the pool your new bed.
I hesitate.
Don't worry, we already share the same bed.
Amicus stretches out an arm over the ledge behind my head, not even looking at me as he does. I get a weird feeling that I'm in a movie theater, and my date just tried to casually rest his arm on the back of my chair. But my head feels even heavier than the rest of my body, so I give in, letting it rest against Amicus' massive bicep and shoulder. I close my eyes, but then crack them open just a bit to look at Amicus. He seems to be trying to stifle a smile. We've had a few moments like these, and at this point, I'm not sure if it's because he likes me, or because he sees me as some sort of actual pet, like a cat curling up on your lap. I don't have much time to give it much thought though, because I start to fall asleep again. I'm not sure how long I'm asleep, seconds or maybe minutes, but that's when I hear the door open. It's not a loud sound, but Amicus jumps, which makes me jump. We both look towards the door. Let's go! Neferu stands there, his eyes on us, the same smile on his face. Oh, imagine running into you again today. Again, Neferu talks directly to me. Without waiting for an answer, he strides in, paws busily tugging at his loincloth.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've come to the baths every day for the past week, but I've never encountered anyone.
He strips off his loincloth, now only in his undergarments.
I was beginning to think that it's never put to use.
He starts to unwrap said undergarments.
I found it strange considering how incredibly relaxing the water is. It's such a great way to clear the mind and meditate.
He unwraps his undergarment, the cloth tied in a way that looks much more complicated than my own.
Not that I mind. I always enjoy good company and conversation.
I have just enough time to notice the anatomical differences between Amicus and Neferu before I look away, feeling awkward staring at someone I barely know in the nude.
So for you who want to wonder what he's talking about here, Amicus' genitalia looks like a human, while Neferu's looks like a real dog's would look like. So you know how many furry artists draws them, so to speak.
I'm not sure who he's talking to either, whether he's moved from me to Amicus, or if he's still exclusively zeroed in on me. Either way, Amicus answers while I stare at the steamy water.
I see. I also enjoy the baths. It's just that we tend to be busy these days.
Oh, I imagine.
Neferu's voice gets closer behind me as he speaks, his soft footsteps barely audible.
Being adrift without an emperor can really hamper an empire.
At this point, it sounds like Neferu is standing just over me, and I can only imagine what else is just over me. Amicus is craning his neck, looking up at the jackal.
Well, we do have an emperor. It's just not the official one. Yet.
Indeed.
I hear a soft splash next to me, and out of the corner of my eye, I see one of the jackal's legs dip into the water as to stand on a bench, followed by the other.
Ah, that's nice. I took a rather long walk in the garden today. It left my paws rather sore. This is a welcome reprieve.
Amicus grunts next to me, and then actually pulls me in a bit with his arm. Neferu then gently hops over to the bench to submerge himself up to his neck. He lets out a soft drawn-out sigh, his eyes closed before he pulls himself up on the bench, right next to me. Amicus lets out a sigh of his own, though this one is much shorter and very annoyed sounding.
We don't have baths like this in our palace. I might request one though, once I return home.
Again, Amicus barely responds, letting out a half-hearted grunt. At this point, the wolf has his arm completely around me, practically pulling me into his chest. It's awkward, and we sit like this for a while, maybe about 5 minutes, before Neferu finally speaks again.
So, how long have you been here, Bo?
2 week? Again, I have to hold my breath to stop myself from laughing at my caveman speak. For some reason, it's incredibly hilarious, even when the situation is totally serious.
So you need permission to speak to me. I did not know that you were so strict with your slaves, Amicus.
Amicus coughs in surprise.
He's my pet, not a slave.
Oh, maybe it's a lingua issue. But from what I've seen, you do enslave your children after all, no?
Amicus is quiet for a moment, and I look back to see him staring at the jackal, his mouth open.
Are you alright?
Excuse me, but I'm finding your questions to be a bit pointed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been told that our way of speaking can be a bit blunt by your standards. But consider that the topic of slavery is simply always pointed.
Well, why don't we move to a less pointed topic then?
Of course. So, Bo, what is your species? I must say that I have never seen one of your kind before.
Okay, maybe he doesn't know that I'm a human then. Amicus' arms tighten around my shoulder again, but he doesn't say anything, staring straight ahead at the other side of the pool. Oh my god, I forgot what we were gonna call what we decided on what my species were to be called. Simian. Neferu chuckles next to me.
You know, you don't have to speak in such simple way to me. I already know that you can converse well enough.
I stiffen up, but Amicus jumps in for me.
What are you talking about, Jackal?
Oh, are we already jumping to informal language? Well, I'm simply referring to his intelligent wolf. I'm just confused why he's downplaying it for me.
Well, I don't know how you know anything about him. Combo, let's head back to my room.
He probably knows that I'm a human. I think Neferu's I always forget what they're called. Hemerians. Anyway, I think that he knows what humans are. I think that he's just playing it right now. Because he doesn't want to make a scene, so to speak. Amicus stands and pulls me up, but Neferu stands up with us, reaching out for one of the white towels. That is why I'm trying to make conversation with him. But if he needs your permission to do anything, including speak, then maybe I should leave your slave alone. Amicus turns to the Kemian, not bothering to hide his anger anymore. He is not a slave! Please refrain from calling him as such. Well, if he isn't, then he should be able to speak freely. He is speaking freely, Jackal. Then I have to wonder why he asked for your permission and stupefy his speech. It's all a bit odd, isn't it? Again, I don't know how you know anything about him. Alex told me. Oh, that little bitch. The Jackal grins, and I know that he's using Alex's shorter name. Amicus stares in surprise. So, don't worry, Bo. You can speak without worrying about what I might learn. Neferu sets a paw on my shoulder, and Amicus hackles race. Gently but firmly, he reaches out to move Neferu's paw off my shoulder. Please do not touch my pet. Oh, so he needs permission to be touched as well? Amicus steps sideways, partly blocking me from the Jackal's view. What is your concern with him, Neferu? I am simply interested in this alien species that I've never seen before. And well, Neferu reaches out over Amicus' shoulder, touching my hair and rubbing it between his two finger pads, similar to what Amicus sometimes does. He is a fascinating looking... Yeah. I start to move my head away, but before I know it, Amicus has Neferu shoved up against the wall, one paw on his chest, glaring into his face. I said not to touch him. His voice is low, almost too quiet for me to hear. I want to jump in somehow and maybe push Amicus towards the door so we can just leave and not cause an interstellar incident, but they're both so big and intimidating. Oh right, sorry. I keep forgetting that he's not a slave with the way you treat him, needing your permission for everything. He doesn't. I step towards them. Well, you need my permission. The statement just sort of slips out of my mouth, my irritation with the Jackal growing along with Amicus. Neferu's eyes widen for a moment before his smile returns. Ah, so it is true. I knew I saw intelligence in those eyes. Despite having a canine that is a good deal larger than him pinning him to the wall, Neferu seems quite calm. You know nothing of the way I treat him, and please don't call him a slave again. It's an affront to his actual status. Again, my apologies. He looks at me. May I touch you in a friendly manner in the future? A paw on the shoulder? An embrace even? Kemians are always very physically intimate. I stare at him. No. Amicus snores with satisfaction, blowing back some fur on Neferu's face. I mean, I wouldn't have mind, but I don't want to make Amicus angry. Now, kindly leave my pet alone in the future. He's very busy. Again, this language implies that you own him. It's confusing to me. Amicus growls, but Neferu doesn't seem to notice the warning. I suppose it's only natural to a slave-driven race such as your own. You believe you own everything and everyone lower on the hierarchy. Amicus' eyes widen, nostrils flaring. What? I'll have you know that they are all servants, and I do plan to change. Never mind, it's not your place to criticize my empire. Neferu seems to take some interest in what Amicus just said, pausing for a moment before speaking again. Oh, your empire? Didn't you say that someone else is acting the emperor? The emperor belongs to all the wolves, but I'll have you know that I will become the emperor, Jackal. And keeping that in mind, you should learn to hold your tongue if you want to establish an alliance. Ah, but does that empire belong to the servants that mine your natural resources across the dozens of planets in the galaxy? What is your issue with me, or are you just rude to everyone you meet? The Jackal is quiet and Amicus just growls at him, waiting for an answer. And that's when I realize that Neferu isn't even looking at Amicus' face. He's looking at... I realized that he's looking bigger than usual. Oh no. You know, I've heard rumors that the Emperor's son was a tail racer. But honestly, I wasn't expecting you to use a moment like this as an opportunity. Did you simply want to get your paws on me? Whoopsie! In one smooth, fluid motion, Neferu spins into Amicus, thumping his back into the other canine's front, making the bigger wolf grunt and puff air into the top of Neferu's head with an oof sound. When he said that he was a tail raiser, did he mean that he's slutty or that he's gay? Maybe both. Probably gay. Neferu leans against the wolf, holding on to his big paw while the other comes up to tease at Amicus' chin. Amicus looks surprised, but he doesn't do anything to push the jackal away. Meanwhile, the jackal's rear pushes firmly up against Amicus' crotch. Amicus seems frozen, staring down at the jackal. From what little I learned about Adastra slang on the TV, Neferu had simply implied that Amicus is gay. That was what I thought. If you were interested, you only had to ask. I know Wolfen's way of flirting is rather aggressive, but even though we jackals do things differently, I can adjust. At that, Amicus glares and roughly pushes Neferu away, sending the jackal to stumble against the wall. He turns around swiftly, his grin still in place. Oh, did I get the wrong idea? I just assumed that you groped my chest and became excited. The wolf's erect cock still waving around a bit after the jackal has spun away. Immediately, Amicus covers himself with both paws, glaring. I did not, and you were the one touching my pet without his permission. Amicus looks around for his underwear, snatching it up and beginning to tie it on. I quickly grab a towel and my robes, feeling completely confused at what the hell just happened. Again, I thought he was your slave, but you're right. I should have asked for his permission. His fur was simply mesmerizing, so I just forgot myself for a moment. Neferu turns to me and bows. Good day, Bo. I wish you luck in revealing your master's carnal desires. Neferu gestures at the fumbling wolf as he tries to tie his underwear correctly. And to you, Amicus. Again, if you're interested, you only need to let me know. Are you joking with me? Neferu is already striding up, grabbing up his own underwear and loincloth as he does, not even finishing tying it on by the time he walks out the door. We both stand there in silence for a bit, staring as the door slides shut. Then Amicus grabs the rest of his clothes with a growl, turning to me. You're right. Yeah, of course. What? Come on. And then Amicus walks off, even faster than Neferu had. I quickly follow, not bothering to put on my robe since I'm still pretty wet. Amicus muttering under his breath the whole time. Unbelievable! Unbelievable! How could you have the nerve? Arrogant Kimian ass! As we make our way towards Amicus' room, I go over what just happened in my head. It seemed that Neferu was making some kind of point about slavery, while at the same time taking that strange interest in me. The obviously sexual tension between the two of them was really odd, especially the way Amicus just stood there and let Neferu rub up against him while he was clearly hard. Is this just how these aliens hit on each other? With all that bizarre macho aggression? But that doesn't matter. I'm not here for that kind of stuff anyway. That's what you think. I just need to get home. But at the same time, there's a little spark of jealousy in my chest at the thought of Amicus being interested in Neferu. Aww. I don't know why, but the way he treated me at the pool almost seemed like flirting itself. And then to immediately have eyes for Neferu. As I walk into Amicus' room, I can't help myself. So, is that the Wolven way of flirting? I ask it casually, trying to act like I don't mind. What? Definitely not! That damn jackal was assuming quite a lot! I mean, I feel myself blush. You were getting kind of hard while you had him pinned against the wall. I mean, I'm not offended or anything. I'm just curious about the culture. If that's how you guys go about things here. Amicus sighs heavily. I suppose wolves have a reputation of being aggressive when it comes to courting a mate. But those days are long gone. The jackal was simply relying on dated stereotypes. Okay. I adjust my robe a bit, the cold air of the room seeping through my still wet underwear. Not to pry too much, but are you gay? Neferu seemed to imply that. Amicus freezes, staring at me. He doesn't seem to know what to tell me, like he's afraid of what my reaction might be. I remember then how stigmatized homosexuality is here. Homophobic slurs are used a lot in the films I've seen, including tail raiser and cocklicker. It's weird because males seems to be pretty intimate with each other, kissing and holding paws being common between close friends. However, there are lines that aren't actually crossed, and actually being gay was looked down upon, which is what Neferu accused Amicus of being. I quickly try to reassure him. Are you gonna be like, no, I'm also gay, so it's fine. You know, it's a fairly accepted thing on Earth these days, and I have no issue with it. If you are, you can tell me.
The main character probably is as well, because he was kind of checking in Amicus one of the early episodes, and like first time when he was brushing him or something, or was it earlier when he saw him taking off his clothes and he was like, ooh, he's kinda hot. Amicus goes on staring at me for a little while longer and then sighs. I have a preference for males, yes. He winces right after saying that. Hey, it's fine. Like I said, it's pretty well accepted in a lot of places on Earth. But explains why you were getting hard in front of Neferu. Listen, it wasn't that I was intending it when I first grabbed him. I was trying to defend you. Ah, I see. Amicus blushes all over again. The wolf turns away and walks over to the sofa before slumping into it, leaning his face into a paw, looking frustrated. What's wrong? Well, that's Jacob for one, and I don't know. Are you disgusted with me now? Why? I just said that it was okay. Why would I be disgusted with you? I don't know. You must see past incidents in a different light, like the massage and wrestling and the dance. I promise those are truly pet duties, and I was only having a bit of fun in the amphitheater, and I only did what the dance called for. I shake my head. I think that you have been really good about not taking advantage of me at all. It's fine. Amicus looks at me, unsure. And you never have to do these things again if you don't want. I understand. I raise a hand up. Seriously, it's fine. Amicus looks away, looking relieved, but still ashamed. I'm sorry, it's just something that has followed me most of my life. I had an incident happening several years back, and it created a lot of rumors about me. The people aren't very interested in having a tail raiser as an emperor. Amicus finally looks at me. So I tried to keep it quiet so that it might be forgotten, though it mostly was until Akimian mentioned it. Amicus growls. Anyways, I'm sorry. I suppose it was something I should have told you, considering how close quarters we've been living. The wolves look so dejected and sad, so I decided that I should tell him that I am also gay. Come on now, do it. You know I'm gay too. There we go. Let's go. Why didn't you just say that? Why didn't you say it right away? Amicus snaps his gaze back to me, eyes wide. What? I feel my face turning red. I'm the same. I like guys. Amicus squints at me, like he can't quite believe what I just said. Are you making fun of me? What? No! I'm telling you so you don't feel so bad about it. It's fine. Oh. That's quite a coincidence. Yeah, it is. Well, thank you for telling me. That isn't easy to do. At least it isn't for me. I'm the same. I mean, I'm kind of the same as well, so I feel for you, Amicus. I slowly walk over and sit on the sofa next to the wolf, feeling strangely awkward about our little coming out conversation. Amicus still looks a bit uncomfortable, but at least he doesn't look sad anymore. And now you just cozy up to him and be like, yeah, let's get cozy here. So, since we were talking about all of this, what was Neferu saying about me? Helping you out with your dick? Is that a pet duty too? Well, yes. Yes it is. But again, I would never ask that of you. Does Alex do that? Amicus pulls a face. While I'd rather not think about my brother in such situations, yes, he does. I want to see it now. But doesn't that mean that your brother is gay too? No, well, not as far as I know. He doesn't seem to have a preference for male. Isn't that what makes you homosexual? I shrug. So I just give you a hand job or something? I can tell that the lingo had no trouble translating that to Amicus, because he immediately blushes again. I squirm, wondering why I'd ask so much. Wondering why I'm asking so much about this topic. I'm curious and already know that I am attracted to this wolf. I'd given up on denying it a while ago. It can involve a lot of things. I mean, if you want to, I have no objections, but it's your choice. Amika sounds tentatively hopeful, and I realize that he actually wants it. It seems that every day I go further and further with this wolf. I laugh, partly at Ambika's expression, and partly because of the absurdity of this entire situation. How about if we win the dance trial? I'll think about it. I'm speaking without thinking. Amicus is quiet and then nods. Sounds fair. I try to think of something else to talk about, still shocked at what I just proposed. So, what's the deal with Neferu? Why did he do all this stuff in the bath? I honestly have no idea. It was very strange. Do you think that his way is furthering an alliance? Not if he has any common sense. I thought that he was going to be friendly, considering that he knows that I'm open to an alliance, unlike Cassius. He leans back on the sofa, thinking. Maybe he was just feeling you out. Ambicus smirks at that. You can say that. Anyways, I don't know how to feel about him. I'm thinking of just telling him that I'm not interested in an alliance unless they send someone that has more tact. Ambicus glances at me. What do you think? I like Neferu, so I think we're gonna talk to him. I have good hopes for Neferu, so talk to him. Well, I think if he's the only guy you have established an alliance with, you should try to work with him. I mean, this could be your best chance if you're ever willing to put up with him. And it seems that he has the hots for you, so that will probably help you, honestly. Maybe. But I don't know, I'm not a politician. But you are smart. Thanks. Anyways, I'm off to my shower. The wolf stands up, and I do the same. Do you need help? Oh, really? Yeah. I want to show him that things haven't changed, and that I'm not scared of him now that I know his secret. He looked so devastated when he told me. And even if Amicus was the one to get me into this mess, I know that he's a good person and doesn't deserve to feel like that. I mean, I've seen your junk already, so no surprises there, right? I suppose not, if you're sure. I'm sure. To decide things for the wolf, I walk into the shower. Ambicus isn't far behind. Oh my god! Okay. That was interesting. Okay. Exciting. It's confirmed that there is, as I was talking about the first episodes, there is tension between these two, and it seems that it's just growing, and I think this will become something cute. Though I am afraid about the play. I have got nothing spoiled about the story at all, but I know that this is a game that everyone who plays this game are devastated in the end and they cry, and I'm just thinking that, what is it that story about the Darude and the Mira, or whatever their name was, that is foreshadowing what is going to happen in this story? I don't want to think that is, but maybe, and that would be very sad. But we will see. This has been episode 10 of Adastra, and I guess there will probably 10 more or something. And now that I'm doing 1 hour episodes instead. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments about these longer episodes and the series as a whole. I love you guys, so thank you so much for watching, and take care, and remember that you are loved and appreciated, and that you should be proud of who you are. I will see you in the next episode. Bye!